say a quick prayer? Okay. Call to order for a special Watertown City Council meeting for May 30th of 2023. Please rise while Councilman Shuddy leads us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, this new day to live and to breathe and to go about our business and duties and with the giftings and abilities you've given us all. And with the diversity that we all have, Lord, it's still we can unite in this city and this community. And I just thank you for all of your provisions, everything you're doing through all the people in this community. I mean, every nook and cranny of this community, Lord, the people that you work through. So I just pray now today here, give us the wisdom and guidance as we work through some of the agenda items here and that you would be glorified in this process. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay. Bueller.
Here.
Danforth.
Here.
Holeen.
Here.
Paulson.
Here.
Shuddy.
Here.
Tupper.
Here.
Billhauer. Absent.
Here.
Oh, look
He's
at that.
Yep.
He's right here on this thing.
Okay. Oh, okay.
The the wonders of modern technology. So just for anyone watching this in the now or in the future, we have Councilman Paulson online and Councilman Vilhauer is over the phone. There is a quorum established. With that, the chair will entertain a motion to approve today's consent agenda. Motion made by Councilman Tupper, seconded by Councilman Shuddy. Any discussion on that, Council? Hearing none, the motion is to declare the surplus property. All those in favor will please say aye. 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 Motion carried. Now is the time for public comments. If anyone would like to address the council on something that is not on today's agenda, now is your time to do so. I will close the public comments. I will entertain a motion to approve today's agenda. Motion made by Councilman Shuddy, second by Councilman Bueller. Any discussion on that? Motion is to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Well, we have two items today. Both of them are interrelated, so we can allow discussion on them both at one time, but we will have to take them separately when it comes to a vote. So I will read them both in brief. So item A is an application for a special event retail license to the Shamrocks and Edelweiss Corporation doing business as Dempsey's Brew Pub and Restaurant for Thursday Night Live. And item B is an application for a special event malt beverage retailer's license and special event retail wine license to, is it Rev LLC doing business as Watertown Brewing Company for Thursday Night Live. For both and more information, we'll go to our city attorney, Lisa Carrico.
So used to being quiet. First of all, thank you, Council, for meeting today. Given the time frames and the way our ordinances are laid out, we needed you all to meet here today to approve these licenses for Thursday Night Live, which will be held this Thursday. I'm going to say that this is, for right now, is a short-term solution until we revise the alcoholic beverage ordinance to accommodate the repetitive attendance of Thursday Night Lives over the course of a summer. That will be before you on June 5th. So right now we have asked the establishments that wish to serve alcohol, beer, wine, etc. at Thursday Night Live to apply for a special event license under our ordinance. They run for a 15-day period. So in this instance, they will be covered for the first 3 Thursday Night Lives. And by then, you will have hopefully adopted the revisions to our alcoholic beverage ordinance, and then they would apply for the remainder of the summer under that section of the ordinance. So as of right now, and I can continue if you wish, Mayor, we can, I mean, that's all I have on that, but we can talk about the ordinance revisions if you wish.
If you find it pertains to right now, I mean, but sure.
Okay, all right. So Council, just so you're aware, because I'm sure you have some questions, obviously Thursday Night Live will now be at Foundation Plaza. I understand that the opening, I was not there, but the ribbon cutting, so to speak, went very well and we had good attendance. Now, what will not be in the ordinance, but is just logistics, so that you're aware, is we do plan to block off the area from the remainder of what I'm going to call downtown. The south side of Kemp that adjoins Foundation Plaza will be included in that Thursday Night Live area, is what I'm going to call it. There will be signs around the children's area, basically saying no alcoholic beverages beyond this point, to kind of promote safety for the children in that area. As well as there will be signs where people are exiting the partitioned area to basically say to them, hey, if you're caught anywhere else downtown with an open beverage, you're subject to our open beverage laws, whether it be state statute or our city ordinances. In addition, we will have no glass. That's more of a park thing, but just so you know. And then Jennifer Collins, the licensing manager, is going through right now to kind of revamp our special event license application. I don't know if you remember, but at the previous council meeting where you guys approved a special event license, you had talked about the legal descriptions don't really tell you where things are. So we talked about being more just descriptive as to areas and streets, and then perhaps if really necessary on certain occasions, there would be a map of some kind so that you guys could see exactly what you're approving, and so could the public. The other things that were talked about, but from an administrative aspect, but we haven't quite figured it out yet, is do we have the participants that are buying alcoholic beverages to wear wristbands? And those wristbands would be given out by the different vendors on that. That's still in the works. Obviously, with the first couple Thursday Night Lives, we'll all be taking notes and paying attention to see what, if anything, should be revised. But generally speaking, I talked with the finance officer, Kristen Bobzine. I've talked with Tim Toomey, our chief of police, Heath Von Eye, our public works director, and Dusty Ruddick, our parks and rec director, as well as our city manager, of course. And I believe everybody's on the same page, and they all thought what we've worked out so far is a good plan. With the revisions to the ordinance is basically, like I said, allowing for this repetitive seasonal type event, and having it not count against their 4 special event licenses that they have the ability to use throughout the year. And then the fee would obviously be less for, it'll either be one collective fee for the entire summer, or it'll be your individual fees will be less, so that collectively, it's X amount of dollars. So anyway, those are what you will see. If you have any questions or information that you would like me to consider in revising the ordinance, please feel free to email me. Otherwise, I would ask that you approve these licenses for our short-term solution.
Thank you very much. I will add just one thing to this, and that is, this is basically, I would like to thank Tim Sheehan at the Chamber of Commerce. This is brought to us because we're trying to iron out a lot of the things that need to be addressed in order to have Thursday Night Live at Foundation Plaza. Obviously, the public can see how well that the park has been going over and the excitement behind it. And I think having it Thursday Night Live there is going to be great. But obviously, there were a lot of things that we needed to figure out in a very short period of time. So I thank our city attorney, our city staff, Tim Sheehan, and the entire chamber, and also the 2 applicants today for stepping up to make Thursday Night Live the event that we want it to be. With that, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the first application for Dempsey's. Once we have official action, so sorry. Motion made by Councilman Tupper. Seconded by Councilman Bueller. I will allow you to ask a question, but council also, you can ask any questions, comments. Mr. Sheehan, if you want to come up and ask your question, you may do so.
Very good, thank you. Tim Sheehan, the Watertown Area Chamber of Commerce. Hey, my question, when you said the liquor license would stop at the fence, what would it take to get that to go out into the street for our car show, motorcycle show, Dairy Palooza, or would that just stay within the confines of the park?
Right now, I'm not at liberty to say just because I haven't talked about it with staff. So we would have to, put our heads together and see what kind of solution would be amenable not only to staff, but to council as well.
Okay, very good.
But I appreciate that.
What is the date of the first of those special events?
July or June 8th, June 15th. We'll have the firefighters out there doing some competitions on the streets and the avenues. And the car show, I think they're in July,
Okay,
end of July. They're after Cooking on Kapeska.
okay.
Just something to consider as we move forward. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Council, any questions or comments? Councilman Tupper.
To Mr. Sheehan's comment, on the old Thursday Night Live platform, didn't they allow people on the street to drink alcohol on the street?
My understanding, it was loosely enforced.
Okay, okay. Next question for City Attorney Carrico. You said this is going to be for the month of June, basically, is what we're covering, the 3 weeks until that ordinance would come into effect. First question is, will that ordinance kick in fast enough? Can we enforce it right away, or does it have a 30-day waiting period, or once we change the ordinance?
That's a good question. Yes, under the statutes, we're allowed to declare, it would be in the resolution, we're allowed to declare what I'm going to call like an emergent nature of having to have it in place before the publication period is over, after you've adopted it. And because it popped in my head, just so council's aware, because the fee is particularly high for them for this 15-day period, depending on what the ultimate fee is for each individual Thursday Night Live, is the two current applicants would receive a credit, so to speak. So let's say we decide it's $50 a time, a Thursday. Well, then they have in essence spent $150 because they've done 3. So then they would get a credit of $150 for the applied toward the remainder of the summer. But that would also come in the resolution when you adopt the ordinance, almost like grandfathering them in, so to speak.
One more question, one more comment. I think you probably answered this question, but so I'm just going to use Dempsey's for example. Let's say they wanted to serve out at Cooking on Kapeska, that would be totally separate, right? That would not have anything to do with this license.
Correct.
And my comment is I strongly recommend the wristbands. In as far as enforcement, it's going to make enforcement way, way easier. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And just to add something on that, the special event licenses under Watertown ordinance are cherished because there's so few of them and they are priced accordingly. We like having those because they help foster special events, such as at LATC and a lot of other great fundraisers throughout the community. So we cherish those, and obviously the establishments do as well. We don't want a regular weekly occurrence such as Thursday Night Live to count against that and dissuade the establishments in town from participating and making it more of the festive atmosphere that we're going for Thursday Night Live. And then that's why Attorney Carrico has come up with crafting this ordinance as she has. And then also why we are willing to reimburse the establishments for stepping up early and then knowing that we will get them, we will do right by them after the fact as well. So, and then also I want to make it clear that we are not limiting it to just these 2 applicants. We are welcoming any and all that are interested in Thursday Night Live. So this was based upon ordinances in other communities, and there's also room to work with it. Councilman Schutte has questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this question may be for whomever can answer this. It's on the logistics of it. You're bringing up having potentially more than 2 applicants. What's the logistics of where these services would be held? Is there enough utilities? I mean, I guess, does anyone know the answer to that on how, if we had 4 or 5 proper utilities in the right place for it, can we get inundated with too many people, basis what we have to offer? So I just wanted to kind of ask that question.
To the extent that I can, to my knowledge, there are outlets and whatnot in the light poles. And there are 3 spaces, albeit it was meant more for food trucks, but depending on how this all works out in the beginning, to the north side of Foundation Plaza. And then as far as the layout, I think that's one of those things too, where over time we'll have to, you know, get a little crafty as things go forward, so.
Yeah, this is definitely a work in progress, so Councilman Danforth.
Ms. Carrico, you had mentioned a number of things, and my mind was thinking about some of those, and I agree with Randy. I like the wristband thing. You know, I think that's what happens out at Cooking on Compesca. I think it's a really good idea. Two questions. I either didn't understand or I wasn't listening about where is the businesses allowed and where are people allowed to drink? And I know within the confines of the park, but if we close off Kemp on the south side, is that area, like we've done in the past, going to be included in the allowable area?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So that would be for, if I wanted to have a beer, which I will probably, and the whoever the business is, they could be out there, and other businesses may come for food or whatever they do. So they're going to be allowed out in those areas, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
My next question is, because I think it will be an issue of concern, at least with some. You had mentioned about the area with where the kids are at, that kind of part of the park. How are we going to monitor that? Are there going to be policemen there? How are we going to do that? Because I can see that getting to be an issue with some of the public, and I don't blame them, because I think you'll see a lot of kid use over there that maybe we haven't seen concentrated in the past. How are we going to monitor and enforce that?
So right now, we're hoping for more of a self-monitoring. I don't know if the police department will be periodically walking through, but not necessarily stationed within the park. And then I think then again, I'm only talking from the brief conversations I've had, is if we do see it getting a little out of, where people just basically aren't able to self-monitor, so to speak, then we would obviously have Chief Toomey get into having people there, in which case, at the end of the year, when it's fee time as to what it's going to cost for these type of events, maybe the fee goes up because we have to start putting more police on it. We also discussed two, what I'm going to call trash can barrels, so to speak, at the exit points, so that when people see the signs, we may also be asking the chamber to monitor that area, and just in the sense of, hey, you leave, drink it or toss it, otherwise you could be subject, so that way the police department wouldn't have to have a bunch of staff there. So, thank you.
Any follow-up, Councilman?
No, I'm excited.
Councilman Beeler.
I'm excited for it as well, Mike. I do have a question, though. I like the wristband idea. Just one question. If we've got several vendors out there and we're giving out green wristbands, if we've got somebody with an infraction, some vendor gives a wristband to you, prior to having an answer to this, I hope. If they give them, and maybe there are different colors that we supply to different vendors so that we know if Joe's beer supply, gave a 16-year-old a wristband. That's one of my concerns. I have another question too. Just this would also go for Attorney Carrico. And that is just, I know we're getting off task a little bit, but food trucks, do they have to have a license to sell in that area? I didn't think they would, but, and then one last one, and that is smoking. I don't recall if I saw any no smoking signs, but that certainly could do some damage, I would think, to that turf. So that's something we're going to have to kind of look out for, I think, as well. But those are my questions. Thanks.
So as of the first one, you kind of hit it right on the head, is each vendor would be assigned a different color so that we could identify what, if anything, happens. Additionally, just like if they're selling in their restaurant or bar, sooner or later, if it looks like things are getting a little crazy, police could do a sting, so to speak, or however they do those spot checks, and hey, then now you've got to come answer to council next time you have a license up or want a special event license. It's like, well, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing in karting. But yes, you are correct. That crossed my mind when we talked about wristbands was, okay, but if we're giving everybody the same color, then how do we know one vendor, who was the violator, so to speak? So they would be different colors for each vendor. As to the food trucks, right now we do not have a license for the food trucks, but it has been discussed, so that may be something coming down the path. As you know, we are doing some recodification of the city ordinances, and as we get to that ordinance dealing with licensing, I wouldn't be surprised if you guys are presented with something at that time. But right now, no, they do not. And then as far as the smoking being prohibited, I'm kind of like the finance officer here shaking her head like we haven't discussed it. My guess is Dusty probably has some ideas on that.
Councilman Tupper?
The smoking part, I believe, if I remember right, that is illegal in all parks in Watertown, isn't it? I know all the softball field, baseball field, stuff like that is prohibited. Yeah, I guess it wouldn't be like at City Park. So, I mean, that would probably have to be a designation for that, which I agree, and I got that bad habit myself. But to the point of, trying to figure out how to get the people to go the right direction once they get a beverage, I'm sure if we were to ask the vendors, they would help us with that, not to hold them responsible for it, but to give directions to this is the area over here that, come on up. Yep.
Just please announce yourself.
Hi, my name is Don Walray, and I own Watertown Brewing Company, and I've got a lot of answers for your questions coming up because I've done it. Our Oktoberfest, we have a bouncy houses out there and selling beer. How we do it is we monitor it, and it's not just a wrestling fest in there. You let anybody in there, but the mom always wants the single mom with a couple kids wants to still drink a beer and wants her kids to enjoy it. So that's gonna be a pretty tough deal to enjoy it and to have two kids there and still enjoy the water and still like a beer. She's, it's not uncommon. I mean, and the other thing is when you say blocking off Kemp Avenue, you got to remember where Thursday Night Live was before. The showmobile blocked off the east end, the barricades blocked off the west end, so the police didn't have to monitor that. When I moved Thursday Night Live to Maple, when it was on Maple, and people were walking, and I will say it, from shooters over, the police did stop them and say you can't do that because the alcohol line went from the showmobile to the guards on the other end. So basically Tommy's, and I was the only one selling there, but there was no alcohol there. That's why I helped move it to Kemp and do it that way. So there's more. And deal is, I always tell everybody, have a wedding and no alcohol. See how many people come. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, we're not trying to get people drunk. We're trying to enjoy people like, and it's no different than Pepsi or anything else. Everyone wants a few of them, and that's how we maintain it. So when you say monitoring it, well, the police they're not monitoring it to where they're going to say, oh, you're drinking a beer past that line, you can't go past that line to a water park. Well, maybe she's a single mom with only two kids, and the one kid got something, and she didn't want to put it down. I mean, there's things that we're going to have to play with as we go. But when you say blocking off Kemp Avenue, there's a lot of exit points and enter points where if they're old enough to buy a beer, they know exactly where the line is. And you can't say, well, I didn't know where it was. Wait a minute now. You're 2.5 blocks away with a beer. You got an open container or alcohol or anything else. And my other question would be like, if it's a city park and you can go out to City Park, so why not just bring your own alcohol and booze in a cooler and your own food in a cooler to the city park? That's one thing I want to make. Is this a special event to open to bring your own stuff, or is it a closed event to where it's like when cooking on Kapeska, you had to when the barbecue was there, you couldn't bring your own food and everything. You had to pay entrance fee. Well, it's like now, it's like if it's not outside the gate and you open up the Kemp for car shows and everything like that, how are you going to stop people? And I mean, how are you going to? Where's the law start and where does it stop? Where does my responsibility, giving the guy too many beers, walking outside the fence and inside the fence? Because there's no beer garden. There's no beer garden at this park. There's not a special place, which is great. In the beer gardens, even at the State Fair, when I do that, they've opened it up bigger and bigger and bigger. So I mean, it's for the people that, I mean, we're not here to get drunk. We're not here. We just have a beer. But the deal is the alcohol license, TTB license, has gotten to where like my craft beer and the TTB basically sets the rules on that, and it says what you can do, what you can't do. And so I want to explain to people that there's such gray area everywhere. Like the police didn't enforce it. They enforced it outside the line. They didn't enforce it there because there was no line. The line was actually blocked in. It was easy buildings, and there was no alley. There was no way to get out and in. And that's why this park, and I've walked around it many times, and I've decided, okay, how do I do it? I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how anybody's going to do it. It's called trial and error.
Yep.
And that's what we're doing. And that's why this what the meeting is, because opening up areas that I don't know and areas that you don't know. And it's like that. It's like when it comes to alcohol, that's one thing that where it can't be past this line into the water park. You got to remember that single mom with maybe one kid or two kids, and she's only there. Is she breaking the law? Is she going to do what is she doing? And the other deal is when does common sense start and when does common sense stop? And I've always asked this about the park. Who is going to be the gate monitor? I know there's no gate, but I mean, who's going to be the monitor of the park? That's my biggest question of the whole thing, whether it's Thursday live, Sunday afternoon, Thursday afternoon. Some dog or some action's going to happen out there. Some diaper's going to fall off, and who is going to be responsible for that? Where's the 800 number, 886 number? Where's just some, like I used to do, like I'm right next to public bathrooms. And whenever there was a problem, I called Service Master. I called Service, and they came down Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It didn't matter what day it was, what event it was. They were always left more toilet paper. And now they don't do it anymore. So now I go like, okay, when it gets dirty, I just let it go. And it's getting dirtier as it. Don't get me wrong. I don't know whoever cleans it, but it's not a Service Master. You know, it's not their professional job. I don't think. But that's just a couple of my questions is and answers of my suggestions for what about to done.
Councilman Paulson?
I guess my question was kind of, or my statement was kind of just what Don was just saying is, I think there has to be clearly defined signs, a lot of signage probably saying no alcohol beyond this point. Obviously, enforcement becomes an issue with any big event, and I think Don's right in saying that there's going to be a lot of trial and error at first with this park. There's a lot to be said. This is a huge benefit to our community. I think we're already seeing a lot of use out there, and I do think that there's going to be a lot of self-monitoring because of that use. I know a ton of people are using the splash park, especially now that it's starting to get hotter out. And I think we have to rely on that self-monitoring a little bit at first and then see where that goes. But I think having the signs at every exit point saying no alcohol beyond this point, violators will be ticketed, is going to be huge. Just making it known that that's the case. And I know our police department does a great job at enforcement on a lot of, well, pretty much everything. And this is going to be no different. They're going to do a great job, and they're going to figure it out just like the rest of us. So I think we're doing the right thing.
All right, thank you. Councilman Beeler?
Thank you, Mayor. This question probably goes for Attorney Carrico. I'm curious, what is our, I can't sit here and tell you what our policy is going to be as far as bringing coolers and bringing alcohol on the premises. What is our stance on that?
Right now, we were kind of treating it like any other city park, but on the other hand, it is downtown. All I can say right now is there's really no hard and fast conclusion that was reached. It was just more talking about the logistics and also trying to see how it goes over the course of the summer. We did talk about having it as for Thursday Night Lives. One of the discussions, but again, no conclusion, was given that there's vendors and it's a chamber-sponsored event, was that it would be not bringing in your own. But there was no conclusion reached on that. I think we're just going to kind of see how it goes.
Follow up?
Yeah, Tim, would you have a moment? Thank you. Yeah. Where are you, Tim? What is your preference? I guess I'm trying to remember how we handled that downtown. Obviously, people brought coolers in. when we had it on the street, because I saw people.
Very seldom, yeah. You know, and
What
I'm
is
not,
your desire as?
I would say no coolers, no pets. You know, and I know a couple old ladies, I shouldn't say old ladies, ladies, Thursday Night Live goers that do bring in their little Yeti thing full of wine, but that's their call. But I would say, yeah, no pets, no coolers. And I don't think we have a huge problem with that. All the vendors are making money, so we're good with that.
Thank you.
And Councilman Buehler, I know that this has at least been part of our initial discussion that we weren't able to completely figure it out, but in regard to smoking, coolers, pets, these are all discussions that we're not exactly sure. Does the Foundation Plaza, is it a park or is it a city establishment? Because like we don't allow outside coolers at our golf course, and that's a park. We don't allow outside coolers at the ice arena, that's a park and rec property. At Cook Complex and other locations, premier softball fields, I also don't think we allow coolers, smoking, or pets. So is the downtown park going to be an establishment, or is it going to be a park like, say, Highland Park? I think that we have some room to figure that out amongst ourselves, but also working with the chamber. I think initially we would like a little bit more protection at this Foundation Plaza than just treating it like a park and the free-for-all that would happen there. So that's not in this, but it's something that I think we need to figure out going forward. And also, I just want to stress that there is going to be a lot of trial and error, but this isn't like we are starting from scratch. We are just taking Thursday Night Live and moving it a half a block to a nicer location in a park. So there's still... People largely know how Thursday Night Live works, what is allowed and what isn't, and hopefully common sense will still continue to prevail. Councilman Danforth, then Councilman Buehler.
Thank you, Mayor. You make a very good point, Mayor, in regards that we got to learn to walk here before we run. And Donnie, you're right. This is going to be a learning curve for all of us. We'll get through it. We've done it before. You know, Mayor, it's possible that, you know, maybe this is both a park and a venue. You know, maybe when we have Thursday Night Live, it's a venue. It's not a park at that point. And then the rules change. I don't know if we're gonna, on a non-event day or time, I don't know if we're gonna allow, can somebody take a cooler in there? Okay, because we're saying coolers, and are we just assuming that there's alcohol in it? Could be pop or water or whatever. So I think we have to get through that issue is what do we want for the park, and does that differ from when we have a venue there? That I think they might be different considerations. So I would see no problem, because I would rather be safe than sorry, having tighter controls and good controls in place for events than the day-to-day park scenario down there.
And I think maybe it would be like cooking on Compesca at City Park, because people definitely bring coolers and alcohol into City Park, but at Cooking on Compesca, it is technically not allowed. So, Attorney Carrico, there you have it. Venue, it's a park, but it has venues at it. I like that. Councilman Buehler?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I just want to be able to bring in my juice boxes. You know, because I don't think I can get that from you guys. No, you know, if you got a bunch of kids and you drag them in there and you got to go buy them all drinks, that could get pretty spendy. I would hope that we would allow sodas, water, that kind of stuff. I would say, just my opinion, is to keep it alcohol free. You can't, I shouldn't say alcohol free, but you can't bring alcohol in during that event, because I think Thursday Night Live, if you know we're putting that on, it becomes an event, and I think to me that makes sense. Thank you.
All right. Any further questions or comments? Councilman Villar? Yep, I got you.
Yeah, I just want to interject a little bit. I only caught parts of the conversation. Good discussion, but you made a good point that we're not starting from scratch necessarily. We're moving Thursday Night Live a half a block. Yeah, a lot of questions to be answered as we work into utilizing Foundation Plaza. But I've got faith in the staff and the chamber that we'll get this worked out. So I'm excited about what this is going to mean for the community. I want to sincerely thank those that were involved in working out this potential solution, including yourself, Mayor. So anyway, enough said on that. A lot of good discussion, a lot of questions being answered. I'm confident we'll get it worked out.
Thank you, Councilman. Any further questions or
Mayor, I
comments?
do have one more question about the signage. Is that something you're going to do, we're going to do?
I think, as far as like the signage, I think that would probably be city responsibility, considering it's our property. Director Von Eye?
Oh, sorry.
Attorney
Yes,
Carrico?
we're already in progress of
Okay. Okay,
getting
very
that
good.
stuff ordered.
Yeah, thank
Yes, but it was a good question.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any further questions or comments? All right. Thank you very much, Council. The motion is to approve the application for Dempsey's. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Now we are on to item B, an application for the license for Rev LLC. I need a motion. Motion made by Councilman Tupper, seconded by Councilman Beeler. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the application. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. We are on to old business. Is there any old business? Okay, any new business? Councilman Beeler.
No, sorry. Yes, I do. Just a couple of things. First off, I want to send a big thank you off. I want to do that in the public forum today to the Park and Rec Department for putting in the 4 pickleball courts at Highland Park. I played there this morning, and it's great, and everybody loves it. So that was really good. They could work that out with the tennis folks, and big thank you to them as well for allowing us to do that. And then just a reminder about the candidate forum, which is at 6 o'clock tonight, I think, and that's at the D.D. Miller Auditorium. So are you going to do that, Councilman Shuddy? Do you have to get up there tonight?
I'm fortunate. I get to sit there and watch the others tonight.
Oh, so you can heckle with her?
Yes.
Okay.
2 years ago, I was being heckled, but now, yeah. And my wife will be up there as well, so.
That's
yeah,
right. No heckling, Mrs. Shuddy.
I thought there was fewer pickleball players this morning when I exercised, so I didn't know that. Councilman Tupper.
I just wanted to start talking a little bit about the 4th of July fireworks. So with the mayor and city manager's permission, I will be kicking that off here real shortly and going out getting donations. We haven't yet decided on the consumer shoot, what day that's going to be yet, but of course fireworks will be at Anza Soccer Field. When we decide what day we're going to do the consumer shoot, they'll be held at the Premier Softball Field in the parking lot. We're going to have bouncy houses there again this year for the kids. Really went over big, and of course we'll have music there, and there'll be some concessions there with the Soccer Association. And look forward to seeing me knocking on your door looking for a few donations. So, thank you, Mayor.
So please open your door and your pocketbook when Councilman Tupper comes, but also myself. Just wanted to make one thing clear, as long as you mentioned July 4th. I have had some questions as to when the public shoot will be. I made the decision last year that given the tenure of my time as mayor, the 4 years would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Those are all awkward days to switch it. So I made the decision last year that it will be on the 4th of July every year for my tenure as mayor. If I get a second tenure, that is open for discussion, because then possibly a weekend. But at least for the first 4 years, it will be on the day, July 4th. Not the consumer shoot. That would just be for the public. Any further new business?
Say, Mayor.
Yep.
Early voting starts, what, the 2nd?
Yes. Early voting starts the 2nd, and also want to make one thing clear. June 19th, the day before the election, that is the Juneteenth holiday, and so we, like all state and municipal government entities in South Dakota, are closed. So there will be no early voting on the day before the election. So, and early voting does take place at City Hall in the finance department. So, thank you for that question, Councilman. Any further?
And the election itself is at D.D. Miller or the Seat Auditorium, correct?
The Civic Arena, yeah. Which yes, is the high school. Okay, any further new business? Any liaison member reports? Any announcements? Chair will entertain a motion. Oh, we have no reason to go into executive session, therefore the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Councilman Bueller, seconded by Councilman Tupper. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, the motion is to adjourn. All those in favor will please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much, council.